Hey there, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Lost in Our 40s. Today we are talking about how to reconnect to self. Music by Atemi Oyungu. Welcome. So good. In the last couple of episodes, we've been looking at disconnecting, of how to recognize that we are disconnected, whether it be through trauma, whether it be through how we show up in relationships or otherwise. We've been trying to pinpoint the situations that show us that we might be disconnected. So today we look a bit more on what to do once we recognize that that is the situation. So not a full long list of ideas, but just some things that can help. So the first one I have here is grounding. There's a train passing by, so forgive a bit of the sound. Just to be outside today. Again, making full use of the sun, which ties into grounding. So connection to nature. Grounding is the activity of putting your feet on the soil, on the earth, on the ground. And like with electricity, it's a direct connection to Mother Earth. I lived in South Africa, and while I was there, I noticed that the school children, I guess from kindergarten, that kind of age, in school they would not wear shoes. If you took them to school in shoes, the shoes would be removed at the door of the classroom. And that was the point, because of the direct connection to Mother Earth and the ground. So the sun, again, direct connection. Other than vitamin D, the sun does give you some kind of power source. It's like the solar panels. So think of yourself as a panel, and the sun actually charges you. Water as well, actually. I find myself having like a really good connection to water. I love water. I find it like the means of cleansing my energy, whether it be through the shower, swimming, drinking. Water is my friend. Now that we're naming the elements, we need to take them all. Fire, fire, lighting candles, sitting by the fire. The fire is said to cleanse the energy, so the energy around it, and it can, I read this somewhere or heard this somewhere, that it can, if it is your intention, it can remove what energy is in you. You can send the energy that is in you that needs cleansing over to the fire for cleansing purposes, and then take in from that the energy that is already cleansed by the flame. What have I left out? That is, there are 5 elements. So that is earth, wind, air, the air that we breathe. Well, that then is everything. That we can tell is in everything, is required for our very existence. So the elements of nature. So when I said grounding, though, my point was to be in direct connection, to have that purpose of taking time in nature, slowing down, and connecting to the earth. This, because as human beings, we are creatures, we are products of nature, and from that perspective, we do follow the rules of nature. And one of the rules of nature is that we are in a community. All of us living on earth are part of the same ecosystem. So that the plants plant their roots in the earth is shows that we can also access life through the earth, and that is the secret behind grounding. Not so much the secret, but part of the reason why to consider grounding. The other one I have here is slowing down. Slowing down. It's so easy to get lost in the daily activities and everything that we need to do. It's so easy to be absorbed by our work, by our responsibilities, by the schedules of the train, or whatever it is, however it is we are commuting, by our responsibilities, whether it be in school if you're parents, or at the different activities we run, that we might not take the time to slow down. I noticed this myself, especially through work. A constant cycle of deadlines and working and beating the deadlines, and once we meet this deadline, then it's the next one, on to the next. So that constant cycle, and the highs and lows were related to that, but always pushing and striving without really taking enough time to de-stress, to reset my own internal system, to sit in nature, to sit in nature and watch the water and just be happy with that. There was this poem when I was young, what is this life so full of care? There is no time to stand and stare. And that's really it. That's what we're looking into. How to manage that, how to get around that. So it's a conscious decision to actually slow down, to take the walks, to sit in nature and look at the trees, and even if it means setting out the time in your calendar, and even if it means something as little as 10 minutes, if every day for 10 minutes you're able to take time out to even just sit with your pets, maybe if you have a pet, and to actually be present, to be fully present and there with them. And our pets love us so much. Sometimes we take it for granted because they're always there. So something else to take into account. Disconnection from technology is closely related. We are too often tied to our phones. It probably started, I'm not sure, I was going to say it probably started by mistake. There is the YouTube, not YouTube, Netflix documentary. Well, I don't know if it's Netflix. There is a documentary called The Social Experiment, where the finding is that a lot of us are way too connected to our phones, and especially with the young, that this has such a negative impact on the youth. It's really difficult because we started out with the phones just as a convenience, a super great convenience. Let me tell you, I do not know how to get home without my phone. Yeah, I cannot tell the direction or which, how, depending on where I am. If you drop me somewhere, I do not know my norths from my easts. So telling me now get from here and get home, I am so used to the maps applications on the phone, and this is true, especially because I cannot read an actual map. So leaving me with that would also not be particularly useful. So they are great. Not to take that away from them, they are absolutely great. But the issue here is over-reliance. I find myself not wanting to do simple sums because I have a calculator on my phone. So I want to run to that. I find myself not trying to think up the name of that movie that I'm trying to think of, the one that had that actor who did this thing, because the phone is easily accessible for that. So because of those small incremental uses, it has just then taken the space of being central, of being much more central. And the examples I'm giving are super small. We have technology in all shapes and forms now, really able to assist our lives, but the ability to disconnect from technology is needed if we want to get back to ourselves. Our true selves are not in technology. There is no algorithm that can bring them forth. Connecting to our true selves means spending time with ourselves. So the practice, what I've started doing recently is, I moved the alarm clock on my phone, the alarm clock that I use from the one on my phone, to an actual alarm clock that has been sitting on my dresser and never used. So this means now that when I'm sleeping, the phone is not inside the room, which I think is a positive, because then when I wake up, that's not the first thing I'm reaching out for, which is maybe symbolically a change in the right direction. So telling me that I am physically disconnecting the ties, and that works. Yeah. So I mean, there are plenty of small steps. The other thing are these apps. Are they apps? These conveniences available on the phone where they can give you, what is it called? You can block time. You can, within your phone, block the time and say that in this time you do not want to be disturbed. And maybe you can set a couple of applications that can reach you then. And it's good, especially for different points in time, depending on what you do. Something worth exploring. All right. The other bit is the getting to know yourself. It sounds ambiguous, so I'll try to make it less ambiguous through some three examples. So the first one here is to get to know your values, your own values, not the values of a company, not the values of a state, but your own personal values. The values that come up with you are based on your experiences, your beliefs, that kind of thing. So getting to spend some time with yourself and understand that for me this is very important. Like an example one of the values that I've recently uncovered is fairness. I have a requirement for fairness, that things need to be fair. If things in a particular situation are not fair, I am highly uncomfortable, I am ill at ease, I am not at my best. I hadn't known that. I could tell in certain situations that I feel off, but I hadn't tied it back to the understanding that this is because of the fact that I have a value of fairness. And the values change. They change from time to time. This never used. I don't know if it used to be a value that was unrecognized, or it was one that recently sprung up. I don't know. So doing this kind of activity where you sit down and try to assess what your values are. And the internet, the wonderful resource that it is, has all these tests that you can do to figure out your values. And if you pick one or two of them, sit down, find maybe three, not more than five. Just try and pick out and go through the tests, understand what some of your values are. It might help you understand why you react to certain things in certain ways, which was what happened in my case, and in any case will help you get to know yourself better. The next one is your likes and dislikes. In one of our previous episodes, it might have been the first or second one if I'm not wrong, we went through an activity that was charting down, that gave the work to charting down the things that you like. And it was an activity of exposing, not exposing yourself, but thinking back to the last time you were happy, something like that. A few times when you were excessively happy, and trying to see what it is about that time that stood out. Was it the food? Was it the place? Was it the people? And those things can help you chart and understand that it is this particular bit about this situation that makes me happy. In my case, I can give the example of now. This for me is quite an experiment. Going outside and filming outside. This is it shall be noted as exciting, and the excitement was because I had a bit of a fear, and so I leaned into it. So that is the excitement that will be noted. Trying new things, yeah, why not? Then the next one is pleasures. So getting to know yourself and getting to know what gives you pleasure. So there is the erotic side of that. That's something else. Important, but something else. But just on the day-to-day, what it's along the same lines. What is it about your favorite meal that strikes you most? Is it the fact that there are many spices in it? Is it the fact that there are no spices at all? Is it the color? Is it the presentation? Is it the texture? What is it about the things that you like that make you like them? So more than just saying good and bad. Going a little deeper, peeling those layers to try and understand the specifics of it that are then more aligned to you. And this, again, is an activity that will help you to get to know yourself better. And pleasure is such an important one. We, more than the work and being busy and the things that keep us more occupied, we truly don't, or maybe I speak for myself, I truly hadn't taken much consideration of pleasure as a real thing and as an important thing. That it's like a requirement to open more of myself to the world. That if I do feel pleasure, then I am, like the light in me is a little more ignited. The glow is the fire is glowing a little brighter, and pleasure enables us to do that. Yeah, I'm trying to think then of an example of, but there's so many examples. Food is always, food is always food is always an easy reach example. So if it's the taste of whatever it is that brings it out in you, then having that and also understanding that element of it is important in getting to know yourself better. Good. The other area, one of the things that I really delve into is reading, trying to understand myself and life and people and psychology and things like that. So just delving into resources. In my case, it was books. I love books and I love reading. And I got a challenge from someone that I know to try audiobooks. And at first I thought, that's not me. I don't do that. If I am not touching the texture and smelling the pages, it is not the same thing. As it turns out, that was not true. I was quite happy with the audiobooks, and that expanded my ability to consume information, because with an audiobook you can do that while you're walking, you can do that while you're in the park, so you can do that while you're cleaning, you can do that when you're doing absolutely anything. So I was very, very happy. Of course, I missed the ability to highlight and do that kind of thing, but in my perspective, the trade-off is worth it, because there's so much more information that I can actually get into through that practice. So I was going to say as well, so reading is one, but there's tons of media like this. Like in this case, listening to this, that is exactly what you're doing. There's plenty of information all over the internet, and I think having the mindset to be interested in finding it is the first key. Is it Rumi who says, when the student is ready, the teacher appears? So yes, once you're in a position to both seek and be able to grasp those concepts, then they become available to you in a form that you can grasp. Yes. So is there more? Yes, discussion with like-minded people. So it's also said, unfortunately today I can't remember the places. It must be the effects, the calming and soothing effects of the sun, that I can't remember a lot of the places where I'm getting the things that I'm quoting from. But it is also said that building a community of like-minded people is super strengthening. It's a great resource. It strengthens the ability to pursue what it is that you're trying to pursue. So if you are trying to get to know yourself a little better, and you are surrounded by a community, and here a community might be as little as one, a single person. So being exposed to people who are doing likewise boosts your ability to, first of all, stay within that pursuit and believe that it is a possibility, since you're not the only one trying to achieve it. And then it encourages you to go further into it, because the discussion would be about the different things that you found, how you came about it, what you think about it. Yeah. So building a community is also a great way. Well, that is all I had for you today. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. As always, I highly appreciate it. All the best.